Yes. What is the reason? What is the reason that you have particular subject? What? You found it interesting, all right. And what about the others? Why have you decided to select the subject? Didn't you know that it had like in the R stream, this subject has the highest Z score, right? English. It is with the highest Z score, but it comes with some tricks as well because it's a difficult subject. It's not easy, but if you are able to score S or better C or a B, if you got a B, definitely you will be able to enter the law faculty at law college. So it is something really worthy, right? So it's better to study this. And also there is another thing. When you have decided to do literature, that means you have kept a huge responsibility on your shoulders. And this is a huge responsibility because the subject gives you things as well as you have to work really hard to get those things. Like now, if you have selected other subjects and if you have gone to other classes, you might have got to know that A-level is not like O-levels. You have to understand that. Even if you get an A for your O-level literature, it doesn't mean that you know anything about A-level literature. Neither. Is that this is hard. If you work hard, it will give you stability in your life that you want. All of us want stability in our lives. Neither. Independence, that is what you want. That you want stability in your life, right? So, Buddha, first and foremost, I want you to study well. I want you to be like, take this as a continuous process. Term test you will not be able to pass this subject. Please remember that. And also, some of you might have like studied O-level literature. Come to that. Come. You have chairs here. I will go through kind of a presentation where you can get some kind of an understanding of what the subject is about. Subject study and what's your school for that? You do know each other? No. You and you. That's it. Oh, then there are some things which you need to buy as well, like the books they are not provided by the ministry. Your O-level books, they were provided by the ministry, no? But when it comes to A-level literature books, you have right. So first slide that would be the welcome slide, of course. And then Buddha, when we think about this one, when we think about this subject, you have two parts, right? You have two parts. First one is literature part, and the second one is the language part, right? So for literature paper, you are given 3 hours, and for the language paper also, you are given 3 hours. So this, you can see that both the papers have 6 hours. You have to understand that this is not a difficult thing. This is not a difficult, like it is a difficult subject, but if you work hard, it will not be a difficult one. Right? So when it comes to this literature part, so the next one, literature paper, it is the paper one, right? Literature paper is a part one. And then, just like in your O-level paper, you have context questions as well as you have essay type questions. And the context and essay type. So you have the context part and then you have the essay type part. And when we think about the context part, you have to understand that this is not like the O-level one. In O-level one, you are given a part from poetry, you are given a part from short story, and then novel, and then drama, and then you are asked 4 questions, ABCD questions, from where are these lines taken, who is meant by I, what are the themes of Habai, in A-level paper, context කියන්නේ ඒක නෙමෙයි. Of course, you would be given a part from the dramas, you would be given a part from short stories, you would be given a part from novels, and then poetry as well, but you are not asked any questions. ප්‍රශ්න අහන්නේ නැහැ. කරන්න තියෙන්නේ, you have to give a comment about the thing that you are given. ඔයගලන්ට දෙන part එක ගැන comment එකක් ලියන්න තියෙනවා. These lines are taken from the poem. Like today we are going to do Chimney Sweeper. These lines are taken from the poem Chimney Sweeper, written by William Blake. And then in maybe like 1.5 pages, you'll have to explain about the plot that you can see in the given part. Plot එක explain කරන්න ඕනේ. And you have to explain about the characterization. මොනවද තියෙන characterization? එක එක characters තියෙනවනේ. එතකොට දීලා තියෙන part එකේ in a characters වල you have to explain about the characterization as well. ඊට පස්සේ what are the themes that you can see in the given part? අපි මේ සරලව උදාහරණ එකක් ලියන්නම් අද ලියමු අපි so that you can understand what I'm talking about. And then put so plot, theme and characters. And while discussing about it, you need to talk about the literary devices as well. And those who haven't done literature, you don't know about the literary devices, but you have done Sinhala literature. Those kinds of things are there in English literature as well. Those are the things that we mean by literary techniques, literary devices. While we are discussing the things, I will tell you what these devices are. You have to point them down. And then you have essay type questions. Essay type questions, those who have done O-level literature, එක poem එකක් දීලා ඒකෙන් ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න. උදාහරණයක් to the Nile ගත්තොත් 2 aspects of the Nile could be seen in the poem To the Nile Explained. ඔය වගේ ප්‍රශ්න අහන්නේ. හැබැයි those sorts of questions are not asked in A-level. එහෙම ප්‍රශ්න නෙමෙයි අහන්නේ. You have to connect several poems together. O-levels, you only took 1 poem, but in A-levels, you have to take several poems. Example, we have a chat. Okay, it seems I have like students who have joined now. Example, Now, there are poems which talk about social injustice. In our poetry, in our collection, in our poetry collection, we have poems which talk about social injustice, and there are several poems. So you would be given a question where you have to take examples from several poems and talk about the social injustice. Get it? So the poem that we are going to talk about today, The Chimney Sweeper, that discusses about social injustice. And then we have another poem called An Introduction that also discusses about social injustice. Godak thina poems. Usually you are asked to use 3 examples. And 3 examples you have to discuss about social injustice. You are asked to talk about nature. You are asked to talk about male domination. Sometimes you are asked to discuss about society as a whole. Social values. So, එක themes තියෙනවානේ. Major themes තියෙනවානේ. ඒ යටතේ කොහොමද poems වලින් උග කියන්නේ කියලා තමයි you have to discuss. හරිද? ඒක තමයි ඔන්න essay type things. ඊළඟට on a language part. Then comes the language part. Then literature part is kind of easy because you can study. Study කරලා ලියන එකක් නේ. Literature part is easy, kind of relatively easy. If you study, you will be able to score well. Language part. In the language part, you have essays, articles, reports, film reviews, and narrative stories. Why Kimberly? I told you this is not an easy one, right? You don't have to write everything. You have to select one. If you are good at writing essays, choose it. If you are good at writing stories, choose that. And if you are a person who watches a lot of films, then choose film review. So according to your preference, ඔගලන්ගේ කැමැත්තට අනුව select කරගන්න පුළුවන්. තේරුණාද? And then we have pressy. Pressy කියන්නේ summarizing. You are given a section from an article. ඊට පස්සේ you are given 10 MCQs. MCQ ප්‍රශ්න 10ක් දෙන්න. හරිද? 10ක් දීලා you will have to find the best option. ඊළඟට you have to write a pressy. Pressy writing and summarizing part. ඒකේ තියෙන gist එක, cream එක. Article එකේ තියෙන gist එක. The summary. Main points. You have to take them out and you will have to write down a pressy. වචන ගානක් දෙනවා. There's a number of words given. ඒ වචන ගානට you will have to write the pressy. තේරුණාද? ඒක තමයි. දැන් ගොඩක් ඔක ඔලුවට ගන්න එපා. Just think of it as just a paper. Where you understand about the structure. The structure එක විතරක් මේව කරගන්න. ඊළඟ පුතේ you are given number 3 unseen prose. Unseen prose means you are given kind of a section from maybe a short story and then you are asked 5 questions from it. පොඩි කැලක් දෙනවා කවදාවත් දැකලා නැති short story. The literature part එකේ you are given questions from things that you have studied. මේ study කරපු මොකක්ද ප්‍රශ්න දෙන literature part එකේ. මෙතන ඔයගලන්ට unseen එකක් දීලා you are given 20 marks for that. Usually you are given 5 questions. සාමාන්‍ය questions 5ක් තමයි දෙන්නේ. මේකේ characters ගැන අහනවා. එතකොට මේකේ ඔයගලන්ට පේන themes ගැන අහනවා. We would do that. Because අන්තිමට you have unseen poems. Unseen poem එකත් එහෙමයි. There are like 20 something poems that you have to study. ඒ වගේ දෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ study කරලා නැති poem එකක් අරගෙන and then you have to read the poem and then you have to write the answers. තේරුණාද? එහෙම තමයි ඔක තමයි language paper structure එක. So 30 30 20 20 100. අතරත් එහෙමයි. Context questions, paper 1. So for each context, you are given 8 marks. ලකුණු 8යි. හරිද? එතකොට you are given questions from drama. පුතේ දැන් dramas පොත් කීපයක් study කරන්න තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන් definitely you have to study 2 books. then කලින් එකේ ඔයගලන් මේ novel එක you have studied either Vendrock's Suite or Bringing Tony Home or Prince and the Pauper ඔය තුනෙන් එකක් නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ study කරේ. හැබැයි මෙතන you definitely have to study two dramas. හරිද? මොකද context එකකින් ලියන්න ඕනේ essay type එකකින් ලියන්න. දෙකෙන්ම ලිව්වොත් මොකද වෙන්නේ? එකකට ලකුණු නැති වෙනවා. හරිද? overlapping කරන්න බෑ. You can't do overlapping. So you have several dramas, you have several novels, and you are given one question from short story. Short stories හයක් තියෙනවා. ඔය හයෙන් එකකින් චූටි කැලක් තමයි දෙන්නේ. එතකොට you have to understand from there that is taken. තේරුණාද? short stories හයක් තියෙනවා. හයෙන් එක short story එකකින් පොඩි passage එක වචන සාමාන්‍යයෙන් පේජ් 5ක් 6ක් විතර දෙනවා. ඒ දුන්නාම ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒක explain කරන්න ඕනේ කොහෙන්ද හොයා කොහෙන්ද මේක ගරගත්තේ කවුද writer මොනවාද තියෙන්නේ characters ඒ characteristics මොනවාද ඊට පස්සේ themes මොනවාද you have to explain those things. හරිද? ඊළඟට poems උත් තියෙනවා. එතකොට ඒ poems වලිනුත් you are given one question. එකයි දෙන්නේ. එතකොට short stories and poetry you are given one question each. Dramas and novels තියෙන හැම drama එකකින්ම questions දෙනවා. තියෙන හැම novel එකකින්ම questions දෙනවා. එතකොට ඕකලා කරලා තියෙන එක you will have to select. කළා තියෙන එක හොයාගන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ. තේරුණාද? හරි. ඊට පස්සේ මම කියන්න මේ 8 marks කොහොමද divide වෙන්නේ කියලා. on essay type. තමයි අමාරු. context අවුලක් නෑ. හරියට. but essay type is the thing that is difficult. essay type වලින් පුතේ you are given several questions from drama. සමහරවිට you are given questions about මොනවාද? questions from Othello තියෙනවා ගොඩක් ඒවා. Othello තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ dumb-waiter තියෙනවා ඊට පස්සේ necktie and seat තියෙනවා ඊළඟට ගොඩක් dramas තියෙනවා. ඒතර මේ හැම drama එකකම you are given one question. One question from Othello, one question from necktie and seat තමන් කරපු එක අදාළ question එක උඩින් you have to write the answer. And the novel is also the same. And the novel also you are given one question from each novel. එකේ ලියන්න තියෙනවා. ඊළඟට short stories එක එක themes යටතේ උගලන්ට several questions are given. Then you have 6 short stories. You have to study all these 6 short stories. මේ හයම study කරන්නත් ඕනේ. එතකොට when you have to study these 6 short stories එක ප්‍රශ්න නෙවෙයි අහන්නේ. ප්‍රශ්න කීපයක් අහන්න. ඒතර එකකින් එකක් තෝරගන්න පුළුවන්. සමහරවිට love ගැන අහුවොත් පුළු love පාඩම් කරලා තියෙනවා නම් ආයක ගැන confident නම් you can write about that. එහෙම නැත්නම් අර මං කිව්වේ social injustice ගැන අහලා තියෙනවා නම් උගලම මේක මම කරානේ වගේ හිතනවා නම් උදේකේ ලියන්න පුළුවන්. හරිද තේරෙනවද? So short stories and poems. ඒකට you are given 17 marks. 17. Then earlier essay type questions all level 15යි තුනේ you are given 15 marks. මෙතන 17. හරිද? And then this is younger me. And Puta, why I have done like put this one is because you need to know who I am. මං කවුද කියලා දැනගන්න එපා. ඔක්කොම හැම වෙලේම classes decide කරනකොට classes තෝරගන්නකොට කල්පනා කරනකොට කාගෙන් තමයි ඉගෙන ගන්න. That is something that you need to think about. හරිද? මොකද මේ I think you are now big people නේද? You are grown ups නේ. ඒක නිසා හොඳට කල්පනා කරලා you have to decide. So about education you don't have to I don't think that you should have any question about it. And also when it comes to experience as well, you don't have to worry about anything at all. How do we conduct the class here? This is what you must know about. First of all, there would be line by line analysis. You have to buy the books, of course, and then we would go through line by line analysis of each poem, each short story, right? And then writing answers for questions. That is a must. Mukada, if you don't practice writing answers, you'll have to think about that as well. And then I will correct your answers and then hand it back to you. So these are the novels that we are going to do in the class. If you want, please point these things out because these are the things that you have to buy. හරිද? මේවා තමයි ගන්න ඕනේ දේවල්. ඒක සුට්ට point out කරගන්න. අරගෙන යන්න, ලියාගෙන යන්න මොනවද ගන්න ඕනේ කියලා. Right. So first novel is Kamala Markandeya's Nectar in a Sea. This is the name, Nectar in a Sea, and the writer is Kamala Markandeya. And then the next one is July's People by Nadine Gordimer. And to tell you the truth, this one the July's People, it's kind of. Then comes your dramas. Glass Menagerie, Tennessee Williams, The Dumbwaiter by Harold Pinter. And we would be starting with The Glass Menagerie. And The Dumbwaiter, right? And then Buddha, this is, and also here you have several books, Tennessee Williams, The Glass Menagerie and Dumbwaiter, Nectar in a Sea and July's People. Sometimes in your school teacher might decide to do something else. Samahallavata, then even though I'm doing Nectar in a Sea, some schools they do Life of Pi. The trick is you don't have to study if you concentrate while you are in the class. Because that is a trick which I use. මම වැඩි පාඩම් කරන මනුස්සයෙක් නෙවෙයි. හරිද? මම කරන වැඩේ අහගෙන ඉන්නවා හොඳට ක්ලාස් එකේ උගන්නන. එතකොට සෑහෙන දේවල් කොට පොළොවට grasp වෙනවා. ඒක හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න. දැන් කට්ටිය යාළුවෝ සෙට් වුණාම ඤඤඤඤඤ ගාලා කතා කරන්නේ නැතුව just try to concentrate on what I'm saying. හරිද? ඊළඟට දැන් ඔන්න drama සුත් එහෙමයි. I'm doing these two. In your schools, you will be doing Othello. Your school does Othello the කරන්න ඔයගොල්ලන්ගෙත් එහෙමයි. කවුද? And then you have the compulsory ones. Poetry collection, short story collection. This is the one that you have. This can be downloaded. Make a download කරන්නත් පුළුවන්. And if you are able to find this publication, may do that. And the other things, it's kind of expensive. And I don't want you to buy books with analysis. Analysis in the books because sometimes the analysis is not according to the way that we are supposed to teach you. And try to find these books. So if you are unable to do that, download it. Pitu manghitane 25 pages wage thamai තියෙන්නේ. In poetry collection, and then you have the short story collection as well. These are the things that you need. Sticky notes, highlighters. Right. So that is that. Then all right. Then Buddha, I want you to take your poem, The Chimney Sweeper. Please take the poem, huh? The Chimney Sweeper. If you don't have the poem, you can. So here, this is. This is an answer which was written by one of my students in 2023, and within 30 minutes, you are expected to write this like this. Within 30 minutes. I know, right? So you don't have to write like that. You're not expected to write like that. Right? See? But you can see that it's kind of very clear. The letters are very clear. So you need to practice that ugly but clear handwriting. I don't know, because now when you write things in 30 minutes, you have to think as well. You have to think, you have to analyze, you have to compare, you have to contrast, and you have so many things to do within 30 minutes. ඒක නිසා ඕල කරගෙන ලියන්න යන්න එපා. හරිද? ඒකත් මතක තියාගන්න. This is a good student. I'm a student කෙනෙක්. එතකොට අනිත් එක තමයි පුතා, tell me, hands up if you can write stories. None of you can write stories. You can. Then you'd better practice narrative essays. Anybody from here who can write stories? Nobody? Do read a lot. Usually I find that people who read a lot, they are able to write narrative essays. She reads a lot and her stories are really beautiful. More exciting stories are really. And I want you to practice that as well. Practice kala balama. When you write stories, storylines dekak vitara denna. Edakuta a storyline you don't have to like start with it and you don't have to end it in it. Anyways, the storyline that I'm going to give you, that should be included in your story. Chuta balande. Harida ma ade anakuta waata denna storyline එක. ගෙදර ගිහිල්ලා හිතලා අරගෙන එන්න. එතකොට මම කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ essays writing, that's okay because you are used to doing that. Narrative essays තමයි චුට්ටක් බලන්න. හරි. So I hope all of you have got the book with you now, or at least the paper, a copy of this one, right? Now, Buddha, when we think about chimney sweeper or chimney sweeping, what do we mean by chimney sweeping? Do you know anything about chimney sweeping? Those who are in 2024 class, you might know about it. Putha, chimney sweeping means that, in fact, have you seen chimneys? So here, if this is the chimney, this would be the building. And then, Buddha, usually these chimneys, they are really small. Even though I have drawn it like a little bit bigger, these chimneys, they are really narrow spaces. And do you think usually it's like it's like 3 meter diameter is there. 3 meters again, 3 meters, 3 feet. Really small space. And then during this time, in factories, you know that what is the purpose of this chimney? Yeah, what is the purpose of the chimney? So that the smoke goes out. Okay, that is the purpose. So here we have chimneys so that the smoke goes out. And then when the smoke comes out of these chimneys, the chimneys will make soot. right? So here, in these walls of the chimney, there is soot. And then little children had to go down these chimneys and clean them. At the age of 3, at the age of 4, 5, maximum 6. You can see that this happened during industrialization. Industrialization in England. So, you have to understand about the social context of England during this time. You have to understand about it. First of all, you have to understand it. Then, when we think about England, what happened in 17th and 18th and 19th centuries? Tell me what happened. This is history. What happened during this time, Oshani? Why Buddha? Problem. Yes, what happened? Industrial revolution. So during this time, there was industrial revolution, especially in the city of London. Then you have to write down this thing. You have to write down this thing. Industrial revolution was there. And then Putta, imagine that this is the city of London. London was the center of industrialization, right? London was the center of industrialization. And as a result of this, imagine that these are smaller agricultural areas. Agricultural areas. These are villages. And then when London became fully westernized or rather industrialized, there are jobs. There are many jobs which are in London. And then people who are living in the smaller villages, they have started shifting towards London. Get the idea of what is happening? Smaller villages, people who are in smaller villages, they have started shifting towards London. The London overpopulated. London becomes overpopulated. From everywhere, people start coming. So don't write this. It became overpopulated. And then, Putta, there's another thing that we have to discuss. When a place becomes overpopulated, what happens to the jobs? What happens to the job market? Imagine that I am an employer. 10 jobs, 10 vacancies. And I have 10 vacancies. Have I in 2,000 people? 10 jobs, but 2,000 people. And I'm going to pay 2,000 euros for a person for 1 day. For 1 day, I'm going to give 2,000. You know, 2,000 people. Then why do I have to spend 2,000? Because there are so many people out there. And then there would not be like 2,000 people, but at least there would be like 1,000 people who need this job. ඕනේ මට 10ක්. ඉතින් මම කල්පනා කරනවා නෑ. මේකත් වැඩි වගේ. and මෙතනම කට්ටියක් හැලෙනවා. And then there would be මම ආයෙ මොකද කරන්නේ? Again I'm going to reduce the wage. ආයෙත් මම අඩු කරනවා. 1000ක් දෙන්නේ. මම දෙන්නේ නැත්නම් I'm going to give only 900. And then again there would be maybe like 50 people. ඔහොම වෙලා මම 2000ක් දෙන්න හිතාගෙන හිටපු job එකට I'm going to give only 500. But still I have people. Still I have people who need this job. What is this? What is this? What am I doing to this labor? Kaushalya, tell me, what am I doing to this labor? Exploiting. I'm exploiting their labor. Exploitation. And when London became overpopulated, labor exploitation happened. So there was labor exploitation. And then when this labor exploitation happens, I'm going to give you like the background information because this is very important. ඔයගොල්ලන් essay type answers ලියනකොට මේක අනිවාර්යෙන් වැදගත් වෙන නිසා තමයි that is why I'm telling you things. දැන් හිතන්න ඔන්න මේ ඉන්නවා මම. මේ මගේ family unit එක කියලා හිතන්න. ඔන්න ඉන්නවා husband, wife, child, maybe grandmothers. And this is my family unit කියලා හිතන්න. එතකොට this is the person who is doing this job. මෙතන 10 jobs තිබ්බනේ. So the man goes for this job. So he is being exploited. They have exploited honey. මොකද 2000ක් දෙන්න තිබ්බෙකට දෙන්නේ 500. Do you think that he would be able to fend for the family? පුළුවන් ද පවුල බලාගෙන රුපියල් 500? If he got 2,000, fine. He would be able to fend for the family. හැබැයි දැන් ඇත්තටම හම්බෙන්නේ 500. ඉතින් පවුල බලා ගන්න මම. ඉතින් මොකද වෙන්නේ? What happens then? Yes, tell me. What happens then? Shalin? Need answers. Yeah. $500 is nothing. Wife will also find a job. Wife will also have to find a job. And then, if that is also not enough, this elderly person also has to find a job. The child also has to find a job. So, child labor exploitation. There is labor exploitation of grown-ups as well as there is child labor as well. පොඩි ළමයින්ව රස්සාවට යන්න බෑනේ. It's kind of prohibited thing. හැබැයි මේ කාලේ පුතේ in 17th and 19th centuries it was not prohibited. So prohibited කළා තිබ්බේ නෑ. තේරුණාද? So there is පූර්ණිමා නෙමෙයි. පූර්ණිමා නෙමෙයි. ප්‍රාර්ථනා. So other than labor exploitation, there is child labor exploitation as well. And then, if these parents are unable to look after the child, and they sell children. And that is how pathetic this situation was. They sell the kids. Imagine selling your kids just to get a bit of money. Can you understand about the things, the sad things? Sad, these are not like fictional things. They are fictional, these are real things. In London, in England, during this time. Most of the times, these children are sold to be chimney sweepers. The chimney sweeping business is lamai. So these children, there is this chimney sweeper master. Then he gonna lokko inni, he gonna mudalalla inni. During that time, there were master chimney sweepers. Megala මොකද කරන්නේ? දුප්පත් පවුල් ගාවට ගිහිල්ලා ළමයින්ව ඒගොල්ලන්ට සලක ගන්න බැරි නම් send us. I will give you money to sell the child. එහෙම නැත්නම් අම්මා හරි තාත්තා හරි මැනේජර් තැනකට ගිහිල්ලා ළමයා පානේ sell us. කියලා they just take away the child. And then these children, they had to live in extremely dreary social setup. ඒගොල්ලන්ට හරියට කන්න නැහැ. ඒගොල්ලන්ට හරියට නාගන්න කරගන්න facilities නැහැ. තනිකර කළු පාටින් වැහිච්ච ළමයි තමයි. කළු පාට සූට් වලින් වැහිච්ච ළමයි තමයි this chimney sweeper. So you have to understand about this social injustice. මොකද in almost every poem, in almost every question that comes under the essay type ones, you have to write about this chimney sweep. Make a palavini poem This is one of the most important poems. Prashna hatarak denama nan poetry වලින් ඔය හතරෙන් තුනකටම මේ poem එක example එකක් විදිහට ගන්න පුළුවන්. This poem can be taken as an example. Usually you are asked to take 3 examples. So මේක හරියට පාඩම් කරගත්තොත් තුනෙන් එකක්ම හරි. You will have to be open-minded and you have to get to know of this one. අනිත් එක මේ කටපාඩම් තියරියන්න බෑනේ for A-level literature. For O-level literature, it's okay. By heart කරලා දේවල් කරගන්න පුළුවන්. හැබැයි for A-level literature, you have to use your brain. මොලේ use කරන්න ඕනේ. කටපාඩම use කරලා හරියන්නේ නැහැ. හරි, you have to use your brain. You have to have thinking power, critical power. Right. Then, so we talked about child labor exploitation, and if parents decide to sell their children, what are the parents? Are they good parents? Then they will හිතන්න මම ඇවිල්ලා මේ දෙවිනික අම්මට කියනවා මේ අපේ ගෙදරට වැඩට එක්කෙනෙක් ඕනේ මේ දෙවිනි අපේ ගෙදරට මම දෙන්නම් කීයක් හරි. Would your mother ever do that? Sure, na? Your mother would never do that because they love you. Then, ඔය කාලේ පොඩක් මරා ගන්න කාලේනේ parents අත් එක්ක. මෙහෙම තමයි. I was also like that. මේ මොනවාද? අපේ ගෙවල් කට්ටියගේ ඔළුව ගලවන් කාපු නැති එක විතරයි මම කරේ නැත්තේ. හරිද? I was like a rascal. During that time, but later on we learn our lessons. These parents, they sell these children. They are kind of callous parents. careless parents, irresponsible parents. We are discussing in this poem. Hi. Imagine that this young boy has become the chimney sweeper. The child has become chimney sweeper. And then, usually these chimneys are like 30 feet high. Chimney suit. The suit, he inhales the suit. That is something definite. They inhale the suit. Inhales it and then lungs. Respiratory diseases, respiratory cancer, lung cancer. And then sometimes the children, they fall down. That would be death. Death nata anivare under the kadino. How other Talakan? Nobody is there. Nobody is there to look after the child. And that's eventual death. So that is what happened in 18th century London. Then they will human rights, other rights, may rights. But that is what they have done during that time. They don't even, right. So having these things in your mind, we would go through the poem, but before that, point out the time period of the writer. He is a romantic poet. William Blake, he is a romantic poet. William Blake poem O-level. Yes? To the Evening Star. To the Evening Star. William Blake. So William Blake was a romantic poet. And the time duration is from 1757 to 1827. 1757 to 1827. 18th century and 19th century. Born in the 18th century, died in the early 19th century. Okay. Then when we think of the writer William Blake, he has written two poetry collections, which is called Songs of Innocence, Songs of Innocence, and Songs of Experience. Songs of Innocence and Songs of Experience. And the poem that you have for your study, The Chimney Sweeper, this poem belongs to Songs of Innocence. And then, comparatively to this Chimney Sweeper, there is another poem, The Chimney Sweeper, in Songs of Experience as well. Make it songs, Chimney Sweeper. They can take. And then the difference is that difference in Songs of Innocence, exploited. The child doesn't know that he is being exploited. He is innocent. He is submissive. But in Songs of Experience, he knows that he is being exploited. That is the difference. So this chimney sweeper is an innocent one. That is another. Yes, right. So therefore, we will point out. The Make a Live in 1794. This poem was written in 1794. And it appeared in Songs of Innocence. Songs of Innocence. And then, Putta, we have to talk about the effects of industrialization. So during this time, there was industrialization. These are things which you can write in your book. Industrialization. And as a result of industrialization, there was urbanization, overpopulation. Urbanization. And we have overpopulated cities. Overpopulated cities. And Putta, because of this, the people were exploited. Their labor was exploited. And also they were discriminated. This is RI. People were exploited as well as they were discriminated by the people, especially the higher class or upper class people. What kind of exploitation can you see? Child labor exploitation as well as labor exploitation. You can point that out as well. Labor exploitation. Labor exploitation. Labor exploitation means workers are not given enough wages. People are not paid well. Labor exploitation was there. For children, they also had to contribute. Children too had to contribute. The family earning. Children had to contribute to the family earnings. And as a result, there is child labor exploitation. And also, this can be considered as child abuse as well. This is child abuse. So, with this child labor exploitation, point out child abuse. And also, there's another thing I need to tell you. That I'm not giving you notes to write. These would be your notes. What I do is I give points so that you have to include those points in your answers. in තමයි අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් class එක කරන්නේ. For the first couple of things, I would give you kind of a tip. පළවෙනි ටිකට tips දෙන්නම්. එතකොට you will be able to like go home and study them නේද? Right. Right. Now, Buddha, we have to write something about this chimney sweeping as well. Then, ඔයගොල්ලන් මට කියන්න. Chimney sweeping, common profession or like a rare, very rare profession? Common එකක්ද rare එක? හැමතැනම තියෙන එක ලන්ඩන් වල හැමතැනම දකින්න තියෙන එකක්ද? එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ rarely දකින්න තියෙන? Very common. Right? Chimney sweeping is very common. එතන what you can do is like you can write down chimney sweeping. අපිට point out කරගමු මේ profession එක ගැන. Chimney sweeping. Very common profession. පුතා අනිත් එක මේ තව එකක් කියන්න තියෙනවා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් in my class මේ බයිලා කියන්නේ නැහැ. නේද? ඒ කියන්නේ I want so much work to be done. මොකද මාර වැඩ ගොඩක් තියෙනවා අපිට කරන්න. books දෙකක් කියලා කියන novels දෙකක් කියලා කියන ලොකු වැඩ ගොඩක්. poems 25ක් කියලා කියන ලොකු වැඩ ගොඩක්. හරිද? ඒක නිසා මේ සමහර වෙලාවට we would talk. හැබැයි මේ අර of course I will guide you what to do in your life as well. හැබැයි මගෙන් expect කරන්න එපා පැය දෙකේ class එකක පැයක කතා කර කර ඉඳී කියලා. Please don't expect that from me. හරිද? You pay me to come here, right? You pay me. Charity service නෙමෙයි. You are going to pay. So you have to get the best of what you are paying. මොකද parents ලා සල්ලි ගත්තලින් කරලා ඔයගලන්ට එවෙනව නෙමෙයි. නේද? ඒක නිසා මෙතෙන්ට આવොත් වැඩ කරන්න බලාගෙන ඉන්න කාලා. හරිද? කතන්දර අහන්න ඉන්න බෑ. Right. So very common profession. එතකොට age of children 3 to 6, 7. 3 yeah. 3. අර නිකන් නැගිට ගන්න පුළුවන් වයස ළමයි. හරි? 3 to 7. And also, these people, they had to work under really drab situation, drab surrounding, dreary and drab surrounding. හරියට කන්න නැහැ, නිදියන්න නැහැ. And also, it's really risky. It's a risky job. Because they have to climb chimneys, which are feet high. The chimneys are usually 30 feet high. And they have to clean the suits. This is one of the major things that the children had to do, cleaning suits. most of the kids, they fell down from the chimneys. They either die or break their limbs. They make a deformity. Deformed, they become deformed. It makes them suffer. But when we think about William Blake, he is a poet who wanted to reform the society. Then there are poets who wanted to reform the society. People, there are poets who wanted to do that. And William Blake is one such poet. He wanted to change the way that people thought. Almost all the public, they had no problem with this child abuse. And William Blake wanted to make people aware what you are doing is not correct. So this poem is kind of considered as a social protest. Social protest. Point. Social protest. And also it focuses on childhood. Social protest focused on childhood. Questions you have to describe poetry which are based on childhood and adulthood. Like a question 2019 2020 childhood and adulthood. So make a ganna pulong to talk about childhood, because here you have a child chimney sweeper. Right. So we will move on to the poem. Chimney Sweeper by William Blake. So let's read the question, read the poem one time, and then we will go through stanza line by line analysis. Puta, the language is really simple. When my mother died, I was very young. And my father sold me. Here, see, this chimney sweeper was sold by whom? By the father. Amma marriage while yet my tongue could scarcely means hardly cry. Here cry means shout. Hardly shout. Weep, 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 weep. So your chimneys I sweep. And in suit I sleep. I have to sleep in suit. Does little Tom Dark. Now here Puta, in the first stanza you can see stanza those who did not study literature for your O levels. Stanza means that is what we mean by stanza. So in the first stanza, we are introduced of a chimney sweeper. On the following chimney sweeper, the following stanza. And then in the second stanza, we meet another chimney sweeper. What is the name? Tom Dark. Tom Dark is the name. Who cried when his head, that curled like a lamb's back, was shaved. So I said, hush, Tom, never mind. For when your head's bare means empty, when your head is bare, when your head does not have any hair on it, you know that the suit cannot spoil your white hair. And so he was quiet. And that very night, as Tom was sleeping, he had such a sight. So the sight means vision. He had a vision that thousands of sweepers, Dick, Joe, Ned, and Jack, were all of them locked up in coffins of black. And why came an angel? What is a coffin? What's a coffin? A place where dead bodies are kept. Mini pig, right? And why came an angel who had a white key? And he opened the coffin and set them free. Then down a green plain, leaping, laughing, they run, and washed in a river and shine in the sun. Then naked and white, all their bags left behind, they rise upon the clouds and sport in the wind. So they sport means play. They play in the wind. And the angel told Tom, if he'd be a good boy, he'd have God for his father and never joy. And so Tom awoke. And we rose in the dark and got with our bags and our brushes to work. Though the morning was cold, Tom was happy and warm. So if all do their duty, they need not fear harm. So that is the poem. And the speaker is an innocent chimney sweeper. Harida meke speaker avilla chimney sweeper. And then puta, let's go through stanza by stanza analysis. Right, that's it. When my mother died, so what has happened to the speaker? Fully opened or half opened? Half opened, right? Only one parent had died, no? So he is half opened. And then I was very young. So here, Puta, this speaker is a very young child who is half opened. Speaker. Young boy. Half opened. And then, and my father sold me. So again, Buddha, you can understand that the speaker is talking about his unfortunate past. Because when there is a child who has been sold by their parents, That is really unfortunate. Hari avasanawanth siddhiyak නෙමෙයි. Demopiyo lamai viprano keneku, that is very unfortunate. So here the speaker talks about his unfortunate past. Where he was sold. And then, while yet my tongue could scarcely, barely, hardly cry, weep, 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 weep. Now, Buddha, this idea of weep is a mispronunciation of the word sweet. දැන් ලංකාවේ අර පොල් කඩන මිනිස්සුන් යනකොට මොකද කියන්නේ? පොල් කඩනවා, ගස් නගිනවා, තව අර ටුක් ටුක් වල කට්ටිය යනවා නේද? පොල් ගස් ඇදලා බඳිනවා කියලා කැග යනවනේ. Similarly, during this time, මොකද වෙන්නේ? Chimney sweepers, they also had to walk along the road, walk along the streets, crying, sweep, 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 sweep. හැබැයි මේ ළමයා මොකද කියන්නේ? Weep, 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 weep. Hey. What is the reason? Definitely because he was a really young child. The ඔයගොල්ලන් පොඩි කාලේ හැම mispronunciation තිබ්බ නැද්ද? තිබුණානේ. අපේ ලුටි මල්ලි වට්ටක් වල ලට්ටක් අකියු. හරිද? කරවල වල සම්මත මන් දන්නේ කිව්වා. හරිද? Because that is like අර ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අර organs, they're not matured properly. ඒක නිසා මොකද වෙන්නේ? Instead of saying sweep, he says weep, 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 weep. කියලා තමයි පාන්නේ. So there we can understand that the speaker is really small. හරියට වචනයක් කියව ගන්නත් බැරි ළමයි. දැනවද? Right. And then Buddha සාමාන්‍යයෙන් එතකොට මේ 3 4 වගේනේ. ඒ කාලේ සාමාන්‍ය වචන ප්‍රොනවුන්ස් වෙන්නේ නැත්තේ. ඒකට හිතන්න the father who had a boy who is at the age of 3 or 4 sells the child soon after the mother dies. Irresponsible parenthood. Callous parent. නිකම්ම නිකම් දෙනව නෙමෙයි, පිනට හදාගන්න දෙනව නෙමෙයි. මොනවද කරන්නේ? Selling for money. Money is the thing which is important for the father, not the child. ළමයා නෙමෙයි කතින්. Callous, irresponsible, mercenary parents, money-minded parents. Right. So there are the father selling. We will point out. The poet criticizes. Callous, irresponsible, mercenary. Puta, mercenary means money-minded. Mercenary. Parents. Callous, irresponsible, mercenary parents. Puta Aravindi, understood what we are talking about here?
Yes, teacher.
So do you think that the father cares about the child? Does the father care about the child? No care at all. Chuttakka kya? No caring, affection, love. Nothing is given. දැන් පුතා ඕන කෙනෙක්ට when they are really small everybody loves these children නේ දැන් ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂට අපි දැන් කැමති නෑනේ හැබැයි පොඩි කාලේ එයා කියන්නේ චුට්ටි කාලේ කට්ටිය නිකන් තුරකල් කරන්නේ නැතිනේ even though he don't like him now ඒ වගේ තමයි these children they are really small people ඒතර everybody should love the children දැන් ඉන්න ළමයි නම් ලෝක කාල වතර බීලා ඉන්නේ but anyways මේ කට්ටිය හරිද ඒගොල්ලෝ අර මේ දැන් පොඩි ළමයි එහෙම නෙමෙයිද වෙන පඬිත නැද්ද මට නම් වෙලාවට පයින් ගිහින් හිතෙනවා මේ කියන්නේ මාර පඬිතුකමක් තියෙන්නේ maybe because I'm old but anyways මේ එහෙම තමයි එන පඬිතයිනේ අර සමහර චූටි කාලේ cute ඊට පස්සේ 6 වසරේ විතර යනකොට අම්මෝ කියන කතාව right then පුතා we were talking about no caring or affection or love ඊට පස්සේ බලමු මොකද වෙන්නේ කියලා while yet my tongue could scarcely say weep 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 etana I have told you that this weeping there are two ideas මෙතන පුතේ if something has two ideas අපි කියන මොකද කියන්නේ technique if something has two ideas evening star goddess venus planet venus මොකක්ද ඒක කිව්වේ එන්න අපරෙන් පටන් ගන්න මතකුණොත් කියන්න Shalin comment nuancing means like having two ideas merging of two ideas that's the nuance so here also you have a nuance වචන මේ අර්ථ දෙක එකට එකතු වෙනවා හරිද පළවෙනි එක තමයි first one is this is the mispronunciation of the word sweep mispronunciation of the word sweep that the sweepers were expected to shout but this child was so small that he could not pronounce it. So he was unable to pronounce the word because he was really small. So this is the first idea, mispronunciation. And the second idea is about the mentality of the sweepers. Mentality. Puta, what do you mean by weeping? Crying. Weeping means crying. So when do people cry? Mostly when you are helpless, when you are sad. And that is the mentality of these chimney sweepers. They are helpless. They are sorrowful. And they are vulnerable here as well. What do you mean by vulnerable? Like easily hurt, easily harmed. They are vulnerable here. Put it there. Sure, right. Vinuji, got the idea?
Yes, please.
Right. Right. Then mentality. And then feelings of the speaker. Utterly helpless. Sorrowful. Vulnerable. The speaker is vulnerable, utterly helpless. Got it, ne? Right. Then, done, Gota? Everybody? Sarushika, shall I erase this one?
Okay, teacher.
Right. So, your chimneys I sweep, and in suit I sleep. Who are these your chimneys? Readers, the society. But the chimneys still not these children. The child is blaming who? The society. The Obalama chimneys. I'm sweeping. So the child, the poet, is pointing the finger at society. The poet points the finger at the society. Your chimney. Your chimney. All right. And in suit, I sleep. So these children are working in suit and also they are sleeping in suit. So for the whole life, 24 hours a day, these children, they have to be like this. These children, they have to live in drab surroundings, drab working environment. They're another, right? So suit. Drab and dreary working environment. Drab and dreary working environment. And also it says that they don't have any facilities. They don't have any facilities. This is C. It looks like D. Right. Then Puta, there are certain things which these chimney sweepers are unable to have. They are deprived of certain things. What are we getting at? The chimney, don't write. The chimney sweepers are deprived of what? What is it? Okay, other than that is basic necessities, yes. They don't have basic necessities. Those are materialistic. Basic necessities are materialistic. Freedom. They don't have freedom. Happiness. Love. Parents, that means parents what? Oh, warmth, yes, warmth. Affection. Good. Anything else? Protection. Good. They need protection, security. They need somebody to rely on. මේ කොහරි වේදනා අම්මේ වැදුනා කියලා කියන්නේ කෙනෙකුනේ. නැද්ද? දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ තමයි මේ මොනවාරි නම් කියලා යනවනේ මොකද? නැත්තම් බෑ මේගොල්ලෝ තනියම ඔක්කොම බෑ කරගන්න. කම්ප්ලේන්ට් කරන්න නැද්ද ඔයගොල්ලෝ? කරනවා. I still do that. Right. What else? They're deprived of certain things. Education. Thank you. Children should get an education. Megalanda? Nothing is given. Nothing is given. Right? So education. Good health. Yeah. So here, chimney sweepers get none of these things. They don't get education. They don't get protection, love, freedom, happiness, basic necessities, warmth, and mohabbat. So this is a dreary, pathetic life. Got it? So please point this out. And this part is really important. The things that they don't get is really important. Right. Then moving on to stanza number 2. Does little, still writing, hurry up. Shamodhi done, Puta?
Yes, teacher.
Done, no? Everybody? Next one. Does little Tom Dark, who cried when his head that curled like a lamb's back was shaved? Puta, who is a lamb? Bakalua. Usually what color is a lamb? White color. And then what kind of fur does it have? What kind of fur does it have? What fur does it have? Then make a pita nam. Curly. So we have Tom Dark, who had curly white hair. So there was a boy who had curly white hair. And then we'll see what happened to him. So this is Tom Dark. Then he cries, Laza Lamb's back was shaved. So here, when Tom came to this master chimney sweeper, the master chimney sweeper had shaved the hair of Tom. Now Tom is bald, cutting. And all his hair was shaved. The hair is white, and they have to climb really narrow chimneys. And when they climb, soot spoils the hair. So the best thing is to shave the head. So this is preparation of work or preparation for being a chimney sweeper. So there we will point out head was shaved in preparation for work. Head was shaven. This is V Puta. In preparation for work. Right, then we have a lamb's back. What is represented by a lamb? In a sense. Why? In the Bible, lamb are considered as food. Innocent people. Jesus, the evening star. The fleece of our flocks are covered with thy sacred dew. Protect them with thine influence. Fleece. Sheep. Lamb. Sheep කියන්නේ ලොකු එක්කෙනානේ, lamb කියන්නේ පොඩි එක්කෙනා. පැටලු පැටියනේ. Lamb represents innocence. And this is a symbol. Lamb is a symbol for innocence, purity. Right? Lamb is a symbol of innocence and purity. So Tom Dark is pure. Tom Dark is innocent. Right. And then, so Tom's head is shaped. And then Tom cries. So I said, with an icon, who is I? The earlier chimney sweeper. And the chimney sweeper that we were able to see in stanza number 1. Yeah. So I said, hush, Tom. So there you have, what are they? Dialogues. So dialogues give a dramatic quality to the poem. Dramatic effect. You have dialogues there. So it's kind of a drama. You have one chimney sweeper who is talking to the other. Dramatic. Hush, Tom. Never mind it. You don't care about it. So when your head's bare, when your head does not have any hair, you know that soot cannot spoil your white hair. So thereafter, you can see that we have Tom, and then we have the speaker. Both are simple, innocent, and small children. And one child is consoling the other. It will not like spoil your hair. Then put in the Sanasan Samani, how the Lama was Sanasan. Then he can't tell, no, for the Kikitan, Mamma, go to a couple, put to a couple of others. Whether the person Yaska and the Ganamani. Ethukuta, how then? An adult, maybe a parent. It does book the name of another kill a couple of the gala, it was put to the Hanani. I put the Hanna. They haven't you done that with small children? Do you have like younger siblings at home? You know, you don't. Or the youngest one? You must have had the experience. They put it all in usually adults, they are the ones who have to console, pacify children. Then pacifying and consoling is done by another small child. Responsibility. They have a huge responsibility on their shoulders. So they should be carefree. Children, they should be really carefree. They should have freedom, as you have mentioned. Have a carefree life? No, they don't have that carefree life. They're not beginning. Right. So they will point out one small chimney sweeper has to pacify and console the other. A huge responsibility is put on their shoulders. a huge responsibility is put on their shoulders, which is really sad. It's intensely sad. Right. So we were talking about a huge responsibility. And then Buddha point out that they have lost the carefree life. They are robbed of their childhood. They are robbed of their childhood. Okay. Then Buddha, the next week when you come, we will go through the rest of the stanzas, and also you have to bring first caps as well. Don't buy those other exam papers eva ganna epa. Cut papers ganna, that's okay. Cut papers are okay. Habai ara me podi kola eva ganna epa, because you have to practice on first caps, so that when you write them on exam papers, ඔගලන්ගේ answer එක පොඩ්ඩක් lengthy වෙනවා. හරිද? ඒක නිසා please bring them as well. And next week you have to යන්න plan. Do you have other classes? No. And next week we would be writing context answers as well. ඒ කියන්නේ ලකුණු 8 ප්‍රශ්න තියෙන්නේ. And I would give you a sample one. ඊට පස්සේ I would ask you to write them, because we have to time ourselves. Time කරලා විනාඩි 15. You are given 15 minutes. හරිද? ලකුණු 8 ප්‍රශ්නෙට you are given 15 minutes. So you have to write them. ලියන්න නැතුව නම් ගොඩ යන්න බෑ. හරිද? ඒක නිසා we will do that. And then Pata, tell me, do you have any questions you need to ask? Anything you need to clarify? Was everything clear? Sure, the back row. නැත්තම් ඔව්ද නැද්ද? ලොකු ප්‍රශ්න නෙමෙයි, මොනවත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. Even if you did not do like another literature for O levels, it's not a problem as long as you work hard. And the working hard is the most important thing. Then 2023 එකෙත් ඉන්නවා O level කරලා නැහැ. අපි හොඳට answers තියෙනවා A level answers. ප්‍රශ්න නැහැ. language අවුලක් නැහැ වගේ නේද? දැන් ඒකයි මම කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන් මේ වෙලාව බලන්න ඕනේ කියලා. So next week you definitely should come. හරිද? මොකද එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට answer එකක් ලියුවාම මට මේ බලන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර මොනවද තියෙන්නේ වැරදි කියලා දෙන්න පුළුවන් you as well පුතා. දැන් මම අර O level වලින් examples ගන්නකොට බය වෙන්න එපා. හරිද? Don't be afraid. I need to like clarify things better. එහෙම කියලා අරව ඕනේ නැහැ. techniques මම කියලා දෙන්න. හරි techniques දැන් මොනවාද මේ ඒකේ presentation එකක් තියෙනවා පොඩි එකක්. විනාඩි 10කින් විතර මම ඔයගොල්ලන්ට analyze කරලා දෙන්නම්. idea එක ගත්තාම පුළුවන්. හරි? So you don't have to be like afraid of the subject. You have to love the subject. And then if you love the subject, it's not a problem. Because that is what happened to me. I really loved the subject. And I was able to go to the university in the first attempt with a high Z score because I loved it. I worked hard for this subject. දැන් අනිත් ඒවල වැඩි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේකට තමයි ඇත්තටම මහන්සි. This is a subject you have to give your priority to. මොකද මෙතනින් තමයි university යනවා ඉන්නක decide වෙන්නේ. Right? ඒක නිසා එකක් බලන්න. Okay then. So next week ඔයගොල්ලන් ඔය poem එක අරන් poem එක you have to buy it. Buy the book. හරි පුතේ. එහෙනම් I'll see you next week. Okay. You can go.
Goodbye, teacher.
Bye.
Thank you, teacher. God bless you.
Goodbye, teacher.
Thank you, teacher. Goodbye.
Are there any problems, Tarushi? Things that you need to clarify?
No, teacher.
Everything?
Yes, teacher.